Hi everybody, welcome back to Right on the Money, the only game show where we give you Democrat cities and you try to guess their new policy changes. We're sitting here with David where he has a chance to win $1 million. Let's see if he can get it right on the money. All right, this question for your chance to win $1 million. What did Salt Lake City, Utah recently change? Was it A, tax cuts, B, infrastructure funding, or C, changing their city flag to the pride flag? You have 5 seconds. Oh man, this is a tough. Was it tax cuts? Ooh, I'm sorry, David. That is not the answer we were looking for. We were looking for C. They changed their city flag to the pride flag. Sorry again. Willie, can you tell the man what he's won?
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Yes, it is the Friday edition of the Wright View. I hope you guys are excited because we got a lot to go over today. First off, I'd like to start at Colombia University recently. Yeah, it's pretty wild what has gone on there. But it's nice to see that Mayor Adams is, stepping in with the police, and that the new president of Colombia University is actually starting to hold these people accountable for their anti-Semitic protests.
Pro-Palestine protesters are dealt with very differently under a Donald Trump presidency. Yes, the activists who took over Colombia University today to disrupt hardworking students at the start of finals week got an unwelcome surprise when, instead of being allowed to run riot through the university like they did under Joe Biden, were bundled up, held in a room by officials and not allowed to leave until they showed ID. The young protesters could be heard pleading with officials to be released.
So you're getting people physically harmed.
Yeah, so there's about 100 protesters and 78 of them were detained or arrested. And if they are here on a student visa, they will be deported from our country. And great, good for them, because we don't need people in this country chanting death to America and Antifada. I mean, these college students, they might be working towards a piece of paper that says that they have knowledge in a certain area, but they don't, right? They have the Dunning-Kruger effect, which means they believe that they are very educated because they have a small piece of paper and a limited amount of education on certain things, right? Like, they have no idea why they're even protesting in the first place, right? They think they're there because there's some type of genocide towards a certain group of people. But there's been religious wars in the Middle East for thousands of years, and it's not going to stop if a couple of white soy liberals go into a library and start chanting Antifada. The only thing you're doing is making people dislike you. It's the same exact thing as these idiots overseas at the Just Stop Oil protests. You're not making people want to be on your side, you're making people dislike you.
And the police action was swift, with New York City Mayor Eric Adams authorizing the NYPD to enter Columbia University and arrest the disruptive protesters. And bad news for anyone protesting who are on visas or in the country illegally, with this commentator saying they will face the full force of the very tough new immigration law. Growing number of pro-Palestinian protesters are being arrested and escorted out of Columbia University in handcuffs. The State Department will revoke any visas they're on, and ICE will handle the arrests. This is no longer Biden's America.
Yeah, it's good to see law and order coming back into our country. Sick and tired of normalizing these things that should not be normalized. I mean, I think everybody can agree that chanting death to America is not what we need here in the United States of America. It doesn't make any sense, yet these people continue to do it. Like I said, they're just useful idiots. But the president of Colombia came out and said, the new president, mind you, said these actions are outrageous. Disruption to our academic activities will not be tolerated and are violations of our rules and policies. This is especially unacceptable while our students study to prepare for final exams. Colombia strongly condemns violence on our campus, anti-Semitism, and all forms of hate and discrimination. So, common sense is coming back. I mean, colleges should not be a hot body for anti-American rhetoric. And our next clip coming up is from the representative of Palestine, or, part of our body of the United States Congress, Ilhan Ohmar, which is just one of the worst representatives we have for our nation. She is definitely not an ambassador for the United States. I'd say she is, way more of an ambassador for Palestine. But here is a clip from her from 2018.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Yeah, that is a representative of our country, literally labeling straight white Christian men is what she really means as a threat to our country. I don't think that's what she means, right? Because straight white Christian men are not a threat to our country. It is a threat to her agenda. That is what the only threat is right here. All right, so a little recap on that. Protesters after round, and then they found out. Good, outstanding. Finally, accountability is being had in our country. And I want to kind of change subjects here and go over to something pretty wild, which just happened in Salt Lake City, Utah.
New details in a story we first told you about at 6 o'clock. Salt Lake City Council has voted in favor of Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's proposal to adopt 3 new city flags.
These are flags that we have traditionally raised at Salt Lake City Hall over the years, recognizing these days that promote diversity, they promote awareness around historical significance in this community and beyond, and they do so through inclusion.
Each of the flags features a sago lily and are said to be a celebration of human rights. There is one for Juneteenth and the city's Black and African American residents, another representing the city's LGBTQIA residents, and the third is a visibility flag for the city's trans residents.
All right, yeah. So they did this as a middle finger towards Trump, pretty much, because ChatGPT states that the population of Salt Lake City, Utah, that identify as LGBT whatever, the population is about 5.8% of the people there who identify as LGBT and queer or gay or whatever, right? So the 94.2% of the rest of the population have to stare at this crap every single day now. I mean, it's pretty insane. Yeah, and you know of the recent polls stating that Trump's not doing a good job. Well, we know that most Democrats like to take polls more than Republicans do, as seen here.
Allies and transgender Utahns marched with the flag all the way down State Street to Washington Square Park.
You know, I grew up in Utah, and I thought I was the only queer person, and I was so wrong. It's really touching just to see the visibility for a community that just wants to exist and thrive and live.
Hoping they'll inspire others to use their voices.
We just need to be willing to stand up and fight our fights, and ultimately, this is my way of doing it.
So what it comes down to, in my opinion here, is that these people were not accepted for who they were growing up, right? And now they want to jam it down everyone's throat to force you to accept them for who they are. I mean, what happened to shame? You know, these people literally made the largest pride flag in the world to march it down the street to celebrate that this city, the ones that represent the 5.8% of the LGBTQ community, just gave a middle finger to everybody that wants to go about their day without getting this crap jammed down their throat, no pun intended, right? And no one would have cared that this was going on, but you just so happened to cross the line, right? You started bringing it to schools. You started dancing in the middle of the streets, and most of the problem here is mostly men. It's men. It's the perversion of men that are going out to the streets half naked in front of everybody and doing this stuff. They're going to schools, and now they're destroying women's sports. I mean, you must really not like the company of women if you're doing this to them. Yeah, Maine still hasn't caught on, you know, and these people are the same people that said trust the science when it came to the COVID vaccine, when there was literally no science behind it. But when you tell them that biological males and biological females are different, they take that book of science and they whip it out the door. You know, they're like, your book has nothing to do with my personal beliefs and I don't care about the science, right? And it's odd, right? So a chairman from USA Fencing recently went in front of Congress and he failed to answer certain questions.
Mr. Lefelt, do you think forcing a woman to change in front of a man in a locker room is abusive? Yes or no?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure I
Do
follow
you
the
want your
question.
daughter to change in front of biological men in locker rooms? Yes or no?
My daughter isn't really something that should be part of this hearing, respectfully.
If you're not a quick no on that, we're gonna take that as a no.
Yeah, it's pretty telling. I mean, the chairman of USA Fencing stands for policy over principles unless it has something to do with his own family, right? These are the people that are saying do as I say, not as I do, in the same sense, right? So this guy is fine with everyone else's daughters having to change in front of biological men, but he would not allow his own daughter to change in front of biological men. That's hypocrisy, and the guy is a cuck to the Democratic Party. Yeah, the dude's, like I said, he's not a man. But here's Marjorie Taylor Greene asking him about their stances on abortion, right? Which is really odd that USA Fencing should have any stance on abortion.
We're going to switch gears to USA Fencing site selection policy. You're the chair of USA Fencing. You should be familiar. Mr. Lefelt, what does abortion have to do with fencing?
Congresswoman, that policy was passed before I got on the board. However, when
you're the chair of the board now, what does abortion have to do with fencing, Mr. Lefelt?
I'm on the board, you're correct, and I offered an amendment to that policy back in December, Congresswoman, that allowed for more flexibility at the city level.
To get an abortion while you're at fencing competitions?
And it also allowed for better convenience. So we enhanced the policy
more
under my
convenience
leadership
to Planned
under the board.
Parenthood centers. Mr. Lefelt, why does USA Fencing states abortion policies and LGBTQ policies in its site selection process to determine where tournaments are held? That's part of your site selection process, is abortion availability and states and cities that are friendly to LGBTQ policies. How is that part of USA Fencing?
Congresswoman, we try to have tournaments in sites that are safe for all of our members, period.
So you don't think red states are safe for fencing athletes?
Red states are absolutely safe, and we regularly host tournaments there, including Texas, Ohio, Missouri.
No, your site selection policies are based on abortion availability and LGBTQ availability, not on fencing, not on your sport.
All right, yeah. So it's pretty weird in some of these communities, some of these sports communities, right? And we need to start by removing these people that hold these agendas, right? It's just very odd, and they argue that, you know, it's empowering women or whatnot, but it's not, because you don't see women, or, you know, biological women or trans men dominating men in any sport. Nothing. It's unheard of because it doesn't happen, and they act as biological men in women's sports is not impacting women when you've seen hundreds of women standing up for their rights and saying this is wrong, and most Americans know it's wrong. But yeah, that's what I have on that. In better news, Trump has struck a trade deal with the UK. Yeah, it's outstanding to hear, because Trump's trying to make these deals, and it undermines what CNN and MSNBC were saying, was that he's just a bully, he's doing this, he doesn't actually want to make deals. But he stated it from the beginning that he wants America and Americans to be treated fairly, and we're now seeing the beginning of that with countries wanting to come forward and make deals for fairness, right? So President Donald Trump announced at a news conference at the Oval Office that his administration has struck a trade deal with the United Kingdom, the first agreement the U.S. has reached since the president imposed sweeping tariffs on trading partners. Outstanding. Under the deal, the United Kingdom will reduce non-tariff barriers the U.S. To U.S. products, including beef, ethanol, fuel, machinery, and chemicals, Trump said. The 10% baseline tariff that the U.S. has placed on dozens of countries will remain in place, while duties on British vehicles will fall from 25% to 10% to match that baseline, the Commerce Secretary said. Trump said he also plans to negotiate a trade deal with the European Union and is open to reducing 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. So we'll see what China has to say about that in the upcoming weeks, hopefully, rather than months. You know, but they are a communist dictatorship, and if anything, they're the bullies. I mean, look at everything that they've done for their people, and you know, and the world with COVID. That was outstanding. So thank you, China, for that. All right, that's what I have for you on this Friday. If you enjoy what I'm putting out, please give me a like, maybe a comment, maybe a share. I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, other than that, I'm wishing you all well. Stay hydrated out there. Change your socks and get outside, do some PT. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.